Today, as you can see, coming from another location, but I don't know what the sound is going to be like, so I apologize in advance. Anyway, today I share 5 life-changing lessons from a quarter of a century's journey that I've been on through business and life. So let's get right to it. Can't wait to share with you. Good morning. Good morning. Awesome to be with you again this morning. Today from I don't know what I haven't even looked out the window yet to see what Cape Town is looking like this morning. But be that as it may, warm good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Today is a bit of a personal episode, sharing with you 5 lessons. There's a talk I do about 15 lessons. I took 5 of them, and I want to share with them. I want to share them with you this morning. But as usual, I'm joined by an incredible group of people this morning. First off, in the form of Leilani Besaidenout from the FBI, and she's going to be sharing all the latest news and things that you and I need to know about. Then we have Norma. Looking forward to Norma's segment. It's about growth in this season, this new season, I guess, because spring is here today. And we also then have Gugu with her very first episode or segment then for Wired to Connect. So really looking forward to that. Got a couple of quick announcements as I usually do, and then I get into sharing my 5 lessons with you. So thank you very much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. A warm good morning to each and every single one of you. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe this video. If you're not sure if you want to, just stick around. You'll see what we are up to, and then hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. Alrighty, so with that, and without any further ado, let's head on over to Leilani and hear what she has to share with us this morning. Leilani, over to you.
Good morning, everybody, and a happy spring day. Welcome to FBI Current Affairs today. So let's jump straight into it. For those who attended the FBI's annual refresher in the beginning of this year, you will recall that we gave an update that there was a study commissioned between National Treasury and the Connaught Authority to look into issues around the ombudsman schemes in South Africa. So the World Bank, via that diagnostic study, actually made a few recommendations. One of the recommendations was that the phase ombudsman's maximum compensation has been 800,000 rand since the start of the phase ombudsman's office, and that it should be lifted to keep up with the trends of inflation and everything else that comes with the economy to about 3.5 million. So what then happened is the FSCA in August of last year issued a paper for comment, draft regulation for comment, to say, here's the updated phase ombudsman's rules, and we are proposing an update, and public comment was received. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has then, during this year, provided a comment. In fact, they provided feedback as at the end of June this year already, to say that they've looked at their powers as the FSCA in the Phase Act to make rules for the Ombudsman schemes versus the powers of the Ombudsman's Council to make rules for the Ombudsman's offices. So between the FSCA and the Ombudsman's Council, they've agreed that it's more appropriate for the Ombudsman's Council to actually update any rules that is applicable to any of the statutory or the voluntary ombudsman schemes. So at this point in time, the Ombudsman's Council is looking at updating not just the limit of 800,000 to 3.5 million as recommended by the World Bank, but they're also looking at updating the rules of the Ombudsman's office in a more holistic fashion. And that is more specifically the phase ombudsman. So the Ombudsman's Council, as I've mentioned, looks after the ombudsman schemes within South Africa. Now, staying with the Ombudsman's Council, I picked up that the chief ombud, who's Leanne Jackson, commented on the decision by the FACE Ombudsman, who is Advocate John Simpson, where he decided to close all the old historic property syndication cases. And his reason for closing those cases is that there's a lot of dispute of facts in these cases, and that legal and factual causation has not been proved in all these cases. Now, Leanne Jackson, the Chief Ombudsman, then commented on this to say that Advocate John Simpson has been in liaison and consultation with them throughout the whole process and in his decision making. The Chief Ombudsman then says that they regret that they know that this is not a decision that the complainants, who is mostly retirees, were looking for. But she then also comments to say, if we look at the cases that was determined over the years, most, if not all of those cases was thrown out by some form of an appeal board, whether it was the FSB's old appeal board or now the Financial Services Tribunal or even courts. And the biggest reason for those cases being thrown out or referred back to the Ombudsman, which is the more appropriate language, is because of the fact that it's of such a complex nature that it's more appropriate for a court of law to deal with these cases. And the biggest reason is there's a lot of conflicting disputes of facts, but also legal and causation, legal and factual causation that was not actually proven. So if you want to look at it, go to the Ombudsman, the Ombudsman's Council's webpage and have a look at what Leanne said. It was published on the 7th of August this year. So then let's look at FPI, what's happening at the FPI. Thank you to everybody who supported us with the Retirement and Investment Online Conference, and well done to Nikki MacDonald, who moderated those panels, as well as Sima and her team for yet another brilliant event. And of course, what would the event be without our fantastic subject matter experts and speakers? If you've missed the event, don't worry, you can still actually register for the event via the FPI's website. Then please, we need your support for the FPI's professional convention. It's called the Professionals Convention for a reason, because it's a convention specifically arranged and planned for you, the professional. And the agenda was set up by professional members for professional members. So when is the convention? Well, 14 and 15 November at the Sandton Convention Center. Please go to our website and click on event, and there's actually a whole convention page for you to register either for the in-person event, or you can actually register for the online event. We do understand that not everybody can actually travel to Johannesburg. With that, Fransha, it's a wrap, and blessings to you and the team, and enjoy your weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Lani. Really appreciate it. And let's move swiftly along and head on over to Norma and hear how we can grow in this new season, which is spring. Today is the 1st of September. So, Norma, if you're ready, let's go.
Good morning and an amazing spring day to everybody, and a wonderful spring season that lies ahead. So for a lot of us, we had that metaphorical winter period in our life. And that's a time where we normally reflect a little bit more. We are a little bit maybe less active, we're hibernating, and we may be preparing ourselves. Now, as we see in nature, no season lasts forever. So when spring comes, we can look forward to renewal, to new beginnings, and to growth. Now, as we see in nature as well, that all living things are growing. And if we don't grow, then we die. So when we don't grow in our lives, we really stagnate. I want to highlight a couple of things today, why it's so important for us to consistently grow, but also what we can expect on this journey of growth. Now, why is it so important to keep growing? As I'm standing here right now, I don't have an idea of my true potential. The only way I can become aware of my potential and see my potential is by consistently overcoming these challenges, by willingly signing up for challenges, but also overcoming those challenges that the world throws at me, and maybe setting goals for myself. So then I can become aware of what I'm really capable of. When I'm growing, I also see these limitations and these glass ceilings that I place in my way. And as I'm setting goals, my doubts and fears come to the surface, and that's such a great opportunity for me to see where my work lies, where I need to go and spend time, focus, and attention. Now, 5 things that we can expect on this journey of growth. So the first one is self-discovery. So I get to know myself a whole lot better, and maybe on a deeper level. I get to know what my priorities are, what my values are, who am I? Really discovering and seeing and maybe identifying, recognizing that self-concept. I see what is important. I see where I want to go, what's my goals that I have. I also become a lot more present. So a lot of times we need to go at 100 miles an hour, but there's also those times where we need to be a little bit more present, when we want to be more mindful, where we want to use all of our 5 senses to really take in from our environment so that we can make appropriate and good decisions moving forward. On this journey of growth, we definitely become more self-aware. We ask ourselves a lot of time very difficult questions. We think about what we think about. We become aware what drives us, and we see our behaviors, our patterns, and the choices that we make. We see where we're taking action, but we also see what we're not doing. We connect with ourselves on a deeper level, and we connect with our higher power, because we see in the bigger scheme of things how small we really are and where our strength comes from. And lastly, we see the importance of action. So we can have the best ideas and strategies and plans in place, but if we don't take those plans and we put action towards it, we can never make it our reality. So we can have the best plans, but if we don't move forward and we don't take action on them, nothing really matters. So my wish for you today is that this new season for you, the spring season coming up, is really a time for renewal, for new beginnings, and for growth. And it can be personal growth, but also spiritual growth. To know that we can always start fresh, that I can decide today, this is who I want to be, and I can go out into the world and be that person. So thank you for being here. I will speak to you again next week. Have a great spring day.
Thanks, Norma. That was amazing. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited for the first episode or first installment or first segment hosted by Gugu Sidaki. Gugu, thank you once again for becoming part of the show. And this morning, she is interviewing a great guest. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to share who it is. So, Gugu, here we go.
Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on our very first episode of our very brand new segment called Wired to Connect. And I'm really, really excited because on this segment, we get to chat to people that I believe are really, really awesome at connecting. And we're going to be exploring how they do it, how they foster these awesome relationships that they do with people. And it's going to be people from all walks of life, so not necessarily in our profession. But as a starter, we're going to be chatting to somebody in our profession, somebody I rate very highly, and that's Terence Tobin. Hello, Terence.
Hello, Gugu. Thank you for having me as your first guest. What an honor and privilege.
How exciting. So glad to have you. Just a little bit about Terence. I'd love for you to introduce yourself very quickly. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. But one striking thing about Terence when I first met him is that Terence is really good at connecting. You don't do superficial. Like I noticed when I first met you, you don't do on the surface. You don't do, hey, hi, bye. You really get into the meat of things with people. And I think it's such an awesome quality of yours. And I follow your stuff on Twitter. You really have a great presence and following on Twitter. And you're so generous with information. And you connect with all those people that you meet. You really are warm and passionate, you know, not just about our industry, but about people. And I think we're going to learn a lot about you today. So can you please tell us a little bit about you? 30 seconds, I'm timing you, so that for those who don't know who you are.
Yeah, Gugu, for me, it's all about that, connecting, making it personal. I don't have different personas. This is who I am. You'll see me this in the office and at the Bri. And I've been blessed to be in the financial services profession now for almost 15 years. And I've had my own practice for almost 4 years and absolutely love every single day.
Nice, we can tell. Awesome. Thank you for that. So, okay, we've got 5 questions and we're going to get them done in 5 minutes. And if we do have some extra time, I've got a bonus question for you. Okay. And the bonus question is actually the most important one, but let's get it. So, Terrence, I've also been in the industry for quite some time, and there's highs and lows, right? And I'd like to know from you, what's your best client experience to date, and have you been able to recreate it?
My best client experience has only come when I've identified who's my ideal client. Who do I really want to speak to? Who can I connect with? Because as you say, I can generally connect with everyone, but there's certain clientele I'd really like to have a connection with. And for me, that's young families, because we resonate. I'm in the same sort of age group and we share the same challenges. So when we have those conversations, they really are deep, personal, and honest. I share a lot of myself and the challenges I face. And I find that that helps create a connection. So they know it's not just they're sitting with someone that, yes, is going to help them with financial planning, but it's someone that's actually maybe just a few steps ahead and can take them with them on the journey. And when we have those conversations, they can last. And I had one a couple of weeks ago that was 2.5 hours with a young mom. And not once was there product discussion in that 2.5 hour discussion. It was beautiful, amazing. And that's what I love. And that fueled me. It gave me such a high for the rest of the day.
Nice, exciting. Sure. Okay. And what's been your worst client experience? I mean, I've got one. I'll never forget it.
I suppose we're all going to have those handful ones, but absolutely. I think it's when there's a disconnection of expectations.
Yeah.
So, you know, we all generally have that first session that's at no cost to the client. And the one chap that booked a session with me, and I think we were connecting, we were getting there. He was a little bit hesitant, which I respect, and people unfortunately haven't always had great experiences. And I asked him, what does he expect from a financial advisor? You know, why is he talking to me?
Yeah. And
he said, no, what he'd like from me is that I can help him pick the best performing shares or unit trusts for the year ahead.
Right.
And unfortunately, my reply to him when that was like, I'm going to always be disappointed because I don't have that skill. And if you find someone who does, I think you need to be very cautious of that person. And he got quite angry with me. You know, you've wasted 25 minutes of my time. And clearly you can't do what you claim you can do. I'm like, so, but I've never claimed that I can pick a winning share, ever. I don't even buy shares myself. You know, so it was that kind of situation. But I'm glad, Gugu, that we only spent 30 minutes together and managed to identify that off the cuff, as opposed to it being months down the line with heartache and fighting and unnecessary. Sure. And that was someone who actually wasn't in that ideal client band of mine.
Anyway.
So it reminded me again why I must stick to it.
Right. Niching is really, really important. Awesome. Okay. So what's the one question that you always ask clients that creates that connection, that, you know, when you have that moment, all of you in the room get this like starry-eyed look. What is that one question?
It's a tough one. You've asked me that, and I have a few that I love asking, but probably the one that's the best for me is, what do you expect from me, Mr. or Mrs. Client, as your financial advisor, that'll make you feel this collaboration is valuable? The time you spend with me, that you really feel it's worthwhile and that we're getting to where you want to be. And then you need to ask that and keep quiet and get comfortable with the silence. Let them think it through and let them answer, and don't prompt. Just let it be in the space.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. How do you think we can forge stronger bonds with clients? Is there a way? Is there like a formula?
I think so. And you might think I'm an alcoholic for saying this, but I use the 4 whiskeys, 1 Heineken, and the tequila method.
Love that one. You're going to elaborate.
Ask questions, listen, listen, listen. So, keep asking what, when, why, and who. Those are our 4 whiskeys.
Right.
The Heineken is how did we get to this point? And the tequila is tell me more.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you just keep asking that and keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
They will unpack. And one of the best skills I learned through a podcast series from Carl Richards was create the space, ask the question, and then shut up. Let them speak, and they will speak. You must just get comfortable with the silence.
Right. And stop
And
trying
clients
to
will
fill
get
it.
this. So I think it's genuinely ask so that you can really scrape the surface, because a lot of clients come to us with a need, with a problem, but it's often it's a surface level problem. I'm unhappy with the returns of my investment, or my insurance is too expensive. And keep going and keep asking and keep asking. And we'll find out real reasons behind those concerns.
Right. There's something I learned from a former boss a while ago, and she used to coach us around complaints, receiving client complaints. And she said, there's always something behind it's not really the question that they ask you, but there's something behind that question or that complaint that you need to get to the bottom of. So that's exactly what you're alluding to there. Okay, absolutely. Final question is, what's the one thing you think your clients are going to remember you for? Beyond, all these awesome spreadsheets and these wonderful financial plans that you put together for them, what do you think they're going to remember you for?
Oh, I was hoping my FNAs, but okay. Gugu, I think it is what you said from the start, and it's who I feel I am as a person. There's no fakeness. There's no agenda. I genuinely care, and I'm there to help. Whenever they have questions, queries, they reach out, they help. And in times of need, when we now are really called into action, handling claims, making sure that their goals are met so that they can put kids through varsity and through school, and that the strategies have worked, and you didn't break, they invested in you and you didn't break their trust. And that for me is critical, because this is a relationship of trust, and it only takes time to build, but a second to break. So never have an agenda about it. Always be genuine to who you are.
Stunning. I love that. And I think we do have time for the bonus question.
Awesome. Let's see.
This is really important. And I think it's honestly going to make or break our perception of you as a person and as an advisor. Please just answer it as honestly as you can. And I think this is actually what's going to make the difference really with this entire conversation. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza. Don't have to think about that one.
Thank you so much, Terence. It's always such a pleasure talking to you. I always learn so much from our chats, our conversations, and thank you so much for being open and honest every time we engage.
Thank you, Gugu, and for your time. Likewise, take care.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Gugu and Terence. Really appreciate it. What a great segment. A little bit longer than usual, but hey, it's the first one. So let's give them that extra few minutes. I think it was incredible. So thank you guys very, very much. All right, let's do some quick announcements as quickly as we possibly can. Right, so there are quite a few things happening in the world of propulsion, and I want to share just a few of the things that are coming up next week or this coming week, which I'm really excited about. First off, we have the WhatsApp Marketing Masterclass, this one is open. These are for people who are not members of Propulsion, or they are not Profile Me clients. We are offering this now for the first time to the public. And the cost is 1,500 Rand. It's a live session. We don't record anything. So it is a live only session, but jam-packed 2.5 hours of incredible value. and something that will definitely help change the trajectory of your business, particularly from a marketing angle and using WhatsApp in the way that it was meant to be used. We've been using it very successfully. Rizana's used it very successfully, and we are seeing some great results from others starting to use this as well. So do check it out. The link is down below, and the 5th of September is when we are presenting from 9 until 11 or so. We will be doing it live. Yes. So do go get your seat if you haven't yet. There's a couple of seats still left. There's only 50 seats in total, only a few more remaining. And yeah, go do it. Don't wait. All right. So then the other one that is big this week that I'm hosting for Propulsion members only, that is the two-pot system masterclass. So if you haven't looked at two pots yet and you think this is it's not something that's really going to be big in my world, you've got a big surprise coming. So if you haven't yet, even if you have attended any of the previous sessions that I've done on this, then you definitely don't want to miss this one. This is the latest, most up-to-date one, and it is a masterclass. It's 2 hours in length, so it is quite a monster. It does offer CPD as well, so really excited to share my latest with you, and come and learn about two-pot system and see what are the things you need to consider when working with your clients, and what things will be going forward, and also why it is the two-pot system and why it's not a multi-pot, 3-pot, 100-pot system. So please come and join me for that. If you're not a member, definitely it's something you want to consider as joining this. If it's something that will be of value to you, everything is on our website, propulsion.co.za. So go check it out, and do join us if you feel like Propulsion is a great way for you to find a place where you can truly belong, where you can grow, and where you can thrive. So propulsion.co.za, all the information on our website. You can sign up on our website and become a part of this amazing, amazing, welcoming, supportive community. All right. So with that, if you do like and love what we do, please help us out. It does help. The more subscribers we have, the more we're able to bring more incredible guests onto the show. And also, if you like this video, then YouTube knows that you are getting value, and it shows it to more people like you. So please help us out in that regard. It's literally the click of two buttons. One is subscribe and one is like. So give us a thumbs up, and we really, really appreciate it. All right. So with that, it's time to get into this morning's main topic, which is the 5 lessons from a quarter of a century's journey through life and business. So let's do that. Brilliant stuff. I'm excited for this morning's topic. It's something that, I've been sort of gathering over the course of this year, particularly thinking about what were the top things that I've learned over my 25 years being in the financial services industry, and sort of trying to, let's move to a profession. I don't think it matters that much always, whether we talk about an industry or profession, because at the end of the day, it's all about our behavior. It's what we focus on, etc. But be that as it may, I thought it would be incredible to just share some of my top learnings with you this morning, but also it'll give you a glimpse into really what we are about and what I'm really about, which I also think at this point in time particularly is important for me to reiterate for those that don't know, and also to share that with the world and put it out there, that if anybody wants to know what we're about, then this is probably the video that they would want to watch. So let me get right into it. And I'm obviously going to share the stories behind these lessons and where they came from, or sort of how I came to sort of realize this and start living life or doing business according to this. But there's obviously a few things that has happened, and some of them good, some of them not so good at all. But it was still incredible moments where it's literally like, that thing about you have a light bulb that goes on. It's literally was sometimes more than a floodlight. The ones that they use on a rugby field or a sports field. It's just like, oh, it's dark, and then poof, it's just like, wow, okay. Anyway, so the very, very first lesson that I do want to talk about this morning is it's so incredibly important that you stand for something. There's got to be something that you are unshakable in, something that this is the line I don't cross, or this is what is really important to me. So it's got to do with values. It's got to do with know exactly what is important to you. And why is this important? Like, I'm probably going to use the word important a lot today, but why is this important? Well, first of all, when you get into those difficult situations where we need to make decisions and we almost feel like, I don't know what decision to make, then the way that you make those decisions is say, well, what is important to me? You look at my values and say, well, these are the things we absolutely stand for. And that's probably also an episode. I can't remember if I ever did an episode on the propulsion values, but the propulsion values are very much my personal values. So it is things that are very, very personal to me. And some of the things, for example, just to give you an insight of what you stand for, is that I don't stand for getting to a point that we know everything. We're always open to learn. We're always continuously learning. We're curious. We remain curious. So, unless other people feel the same, then we're not, then propulsion won't be a great fit. And I definitely won't be a great fit. So it is about being open-minded, being open to learn, being sort of the opinion that, look, I don't really know everything and I never will, but I'm curious to keep learning. I'm excited to keep learning. I want to evolve. I want to become more valuable. I want to change what's going on. And the only way that you can do that is through learning. Now, it's very interesting. I've been speaking at a few places the last few months, and some of the things that usually come out, you listen to some of the top people talking at those, they all say, continue learning. But, and that's just one of them. The other thing, from where we sit, me particularly, is it's people over profits. We always put people first. We don't care about the money. And I say that very loosely. I must probably not put something like that into the universe, but it is definitely a case of like, for me, it's more about the person than it is about me making money, or whether it's good for the business from a monetary point of view. So, there are times where we would say, look, I mean, this is the thing. You didn't do your part, then I'm not going to do mine. But in many cases as well, there are sort of the decisions we make is really guided by, people over profit. So what's good for the other person, and then what's good for us. So that's definitely one of the big ones. Well, some of the other values that are sort of that I believe is important from our point of view is obviously to have fun. That's very, very important. But then also, using technology to its fullest ability is a big value. And you would say, how can technology be a value? It should be family and friends and all that good stuff. But from where I'm sitting, particularly from a business point of view, that's, tech is something I love. Tech is important in my life, and you need to recognize that. But all of those things are important. But, I guess at the end of the day, if we say you got to stand for something, do people know what it is that you stand for? And in our case, it is for the biggest thing that we probably stand for, and maybe that I should have led with, is that we don't stand for mediocrity. We stand for excellence. We stand for raising the bar. And we've been using raise the bar since the very beginning. And I'm very happy to see that now some corporates are starting to use that as well. And some other people are also using it in their posts and things, saying raise the bar. But ultimately, that is our mission statement. And that is really what we stand for. If you think about any of the events we do, any of the training we do, anything, it's top-notch quality. It's not there just to give you a CPD point. It is there to change your life. It's there to change your business. That is the mindset that we go out with, and that is the absolute focus. So you got to stand for those things. We don't stand for your normal, let's give you 600 breaks and things and just to do things in a session. We are pushing the envelope all the time. And sometimes when we get feedback from people, and I take the feedback because it's very important and I ask for it. And when you can't take feedback if you ask for it and then say, but there are some people who are coming like, it's too much, it's too long, it's too this, it's too that. Chap, how do we raise the bar if we don't do that? And it is sort of a mindset change to say, well, look, we got to push this because I can, and because we want to grow, and because we want to do things faster. And I probably didn't put that one in here, but there's another lesson that I learned, and that is that things doesn't have to take that long. But that's not part of the 5 today. But the only way that it doesn't take that long is if we push the envelope, is when we do things like do 14 demos plus a lot of panel discussions and keynotes, education, all of it, all about tech in 2 days, right? And it's one after the other, one after the other. It's pushing the envelope, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. So that's the stuff that we stand for. That's very, very important to us. We are not like everyone else. We are different. Propulsion, driving and pushing forward is definitely not about being mediocre. So that's what's important to us. So stand for something and be very clear about that and announce it to the world. Make sure your team knows. Make sure your clients know. But stand for something. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, this was a hard one for me. It took me, I swear, literally like 48 years probably. Well, I just turned 48, but so about 47 years, 47 and a half, somewhere about there, to figure out what business I am in. And if I were to ask you, what business are you in? You're probably going to go like financial advice. I'm in policy sales or insurance sales or, all of that kind of stuff. But it took me a very, very long time to figure out what business we are in. And it is not those clinical, factual things that you can just say, look, that's what I think. For me, it's absolutely about sort of going through the process. So first, let me rather give you the backstory. So I was of the opinion that we were in consulting first. And then it became, we in training, and then we were in education, and then we were in helping people. And it sort of evolved, but I couldn't get to the essence of what it is that, what business am I in? And actually, somebody that I'm very close to sort of asked me the question, like, but what business are you in? So I tried to figure out, how do I explain what it is I do? That was really the starting point. And then this person asked me, like, so what business are you in? And I said, no, we do education. She said to me, no, it's not what I'm talking about. What business are you in? And then I started distilling it. And it was sort of, because one of the things you'll see on our website and everywhere, we're talking about helping people and having a lasting positive impact and things like that. So that's all cool, but I don't think that's very inspiring for me. And I had to think about this. And then sort of it came to, well, at the end of the day, it's really about changing lives. And that started resonating with me a lot more. So if I have a lasting positive impact, if I help people, those kind of things, we're really changing lives. But then that wasn't enough. I was like, no, changing lives are not enough. I want to change lives at scale. And that is a big thing. Now, at scale may mean anything, right? So some people say at scale means, wow, it's massively big. But I think what it really means to me is that, because we always say that thing, right, about if I can just change one person's life, then that would be absolutely incredible. But that's absolute BS. Like, we want to change a lot of people's lives. And the only way to change a lot of people's lives is at scale. It's through getting my message out there to as many people as possible. It's about doing what I'm doing, because often it's not the things we say, it's the things we do that inspire people. It's the things we show people that's possible. We show people what's possible, and then they go like, oh wow, but if he can do it, I can do it. And I can promise you, like, there's nothing I can do that you can't do. So it's also getting over that little bit, because I always thought about certain people like, oh, I'm not them, and and then you realize you just take the action, and then the results come, and you keep going, and then at the end of the day, you do what they do, and sometimes you do it better. So it's absolutely important to know what business are you in. So my question to you this morning is, do you know what business you are in? And it's okay for you and me to be in the same business, right? Changing lives at scale. But go and figure that one out. What is it that you're really, really about? Why do you do what you do? What is the thing that makes you get up in the morning? What is the thing that pulls you through everything, where you feel like, I've had enough. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. All those kind of things. What do we do? Then the third lesson this morning that I want to share with you is, and this was a big one for me, right? Because everybody says when you start off, you need a business plan, you need a plan, you need an action plan, you need a strategy, you need like all this stuff. And I always tried that. And I think one of the biggest frustrations that I had always was that I didn't really know what I'm going to do. Because what do everybody say? Start with the end in mind and work backwards. So start with the result you want and then engineer it backwards. I don't know. I always struggled with that. I always have this idea that I want to do great things and that we want to make a difference and change lives at scale. But how I'm going to do it step by step, frankly, I have no freaking idea. So one of the big lessons that I learned thanks to starting this show and thanks to what happened back in March 2020, you sort of get to the point where you realize that you don't always need a detailed plan. You don't need to know the next 5 steps, the next 10 steps, the next 15 steps. You know, there's a book by Patrick Bet-David that talks about your next 5 moves, and it's an absolutely incredible book. It really does take you down the road, like you do this, then this, then this, and that. But the biggest lesson probably for me, and the thing that has really saved my business and sort of changed my life, was not knowing what to do. And all I knew was what's going to be my first step. I had no idea. I mean, I've told this story a million times. When I started Virtual Coffee with Francois back in March, on the 20th of March 2020, the only plan I had was to go live every single day. That was it. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. In fact, the first 3 episodes was all meant to be questions and answer sessions, which was horrendous because poor Terence Stowen was the only oak asking me questions. And he had to come up, and that was before ChatGPT, so he couldn't even go and find a few things to ask me. But be that as it may, he stuck with me, and then I just very quickly realized that I needed topics. And then I even had guests very early on. I think episode 5, I had a guest, and then episode 7, and then sort of I made a list of things I can talk about, and then that's how it started, right? And I wasn't even concerned about the production. The only thing I was really concerned about was the audio, for example. But at the end of the day, it naturally evolved once I took that first step. I mean, it's just natural, right? When you take one step, then there's naturally a second step. And you take a second step, there's naturally a third step, until you decide to stop. So for me, that was the big moment where I realized, well, not in that moment, but it took a while to realize that you don't need a detailed plan. All you need is the courage to just take the first step. All you need to know is what is going to be my first step. And it doesn't have to be that you know that it's the right step or that it's in the right direction or any of those things. It's just having the courage not to stand still, but to rather take that step forward. So for me, don't get bogged down if you don't know what the next 10 steps are, 5 steps, 3 steps, whatever. Those of you that played games many, many years ago, if you played any of these strategy kind of games or simulation type of games where, you need to go gather wood and you need to find resources and you build a city and all of those good things, those maps are dark. But as you move through it, it opens up. And you can see what's happening. And, here's wood. Here's, precious metal, or here's diamonds or charcoal or whatever it may be. It's sort of the same, I think, with life and business, is that you don't need all the answers. You'll never have all the answers in any event. So it is very important that we all realize that you don't need a detailed plan. I don't say don't have a plan at all. But initially, when you don't know what to do, just take that first step. Make that first phone call. You make that first phone call, and that happens where maybe there's then what's the next phone call? What's the next phone call? Just do that. Anyway, so that's the first 3. So let me just quickly revisit. So the first one was stand for something. Important that you know exactly what you stand for and what's acceptable for you and what's not. And not to say that can't change over time, but definitely know what you stand for and make sure that others know what you stand for. Know what business you are in was the second one. So be clear. For us, as I said, it's for me personally, it's changing lives at scale. That's what I'm about. And then you don't need a detailed plan was the third one. So the fourth one, and this is also very important. I'm about to embark on this because, often this causes us to be in a comfort zone, and we don't even realize it is. And it's different for different people, because not everybody can just do this at any point in time, or whenever you feel like it. But sometimes, when things don't go your way, when things keep going wrong, when there's a lot of drama in your life. Oh, yes, I've seen this so many times. Like, people have just got drama after drama after drama after drama. And I look at it and I go like, so why the hell is that not happening to me? Like, I don't know. And I don't want to put it out there that I want drama. I don't want any drama. But it's definitely that some people, it's like they attract all the drama. It's just the one thing goes wrong after the next, after the next, after the next. And I believe that's life's way of saying you got to change your environment. You got to move, right? So be it that you talk about your job, be it that you move house or area or town or city or country, relationships, it doesn't matter. Types of clients you work with, anything like that, change your environment and change your life. I've seen, like, we got a little fat plant, a little aloe. I swear that thing was this big. I kid you not, it was this big. I must actually take a picture when I'm back home and post it. I'll probably do that. But it was this big when I got it from my brother in warm baths at the time. So we took it home and we put it in a little, like a round pot, about this. I don't know, it's hard to see probably on camera, but it's about this big. And it got bigger. And it stayed that size. And then at some point, I can't remember even why, we decided to take it out of that pot and we put it in the garden. I kid you not, that thing would probably take me around about, if I stand up, under my arms. It is a massive aloe. Quickly, it grew so quickly. And that's always a reminder for me to say, you change the environment and you change everything. Now, environment, as I said earlier, might mean different things. There are so many things. It's not just literally where you find yourself, like at the moment in this small room that's very echoey probably. It's not just about that. But you change your friends. You change who you hang out with, who you spend time with. Maybe it's literally moving from one place to another. Maybe it's moving jobs, all those things that I spoke about earlier. So I don't want to repeat it. But those are the things that I talk about when I say change your environment. That's the biggest thing. When we moved from the Free State to Joburg, my entire life changed. And then I moved from one company to another, and it was a shitty decision. Sorry for the English. It was the worst decision I could have made, if I wanted to frame it that way. I'm not going to frame it that way, because when I made that decision, and it turned out to be the worst decision I could have made, it pushed me closer to where I am today. So not all the things we do and all the mistakes we make are bad. They're actually meant to guide us. And this is why I laughed a little bit earlier, saying like, maybe if you have all this drama in your life, it's the universe's sort of way to tell you that, chap, it's time to move. It's time to make a change, whatever that might be for you. But that's the big thing, I want to repeat it. You change your environment, change your life. And that could mean so many things. So definitely something we could probably talk about more. The last one that I want to share with you this morning is absolutely around something that when we started the business back in 2015, 2016, I really had some trouble every year around about October, November, December. It was the worst time, because who trains in October, November, December? So the whole year was a bit of a struggle. You're always like, you need to get money, you need to do this, need to do that. And then come like, oh, hell, it's end of the year. And then there's no business, nothing to be done. And it sort of it completely numbed me. And I was just, for a week at a time, I would just sit there and watch TV and just be depressed, basically. And until sort of the third year that happened, I thought to myself, you know what? And then obviously I'm overtaken by anxiety, and that's the worst thing for me. I deal with a lot of anxiety. And back then, it was about 2017, 2018, I sat there and I decided no more. the biggest thing that I can do is actually do something. And again, go back to, you don't need a detailed plan, just do that first thing. So my fifth lesson, that is a massive one that I have to remind myself of all the time, is acta non verba, action over words. So it is about doing what is necessary, because often we want to do the nice stuff, or we feel we want to do things that are really important because they have to be done. It's my compliance, it's my admin, it's like I'm going to get into trouble when it's not done, and all those things. And then we get stuck into sort of a thing where I'm not generating any income, I'm not generating new opportunities, I'm not opening new leads, I'm not building relationships. But it's all about doing what is necessary. And for me, what is necessary, it's like, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that I need to do every single day that will generate revenue? Now, some of it might generate revenue immediately, and some of them will generate revenue down the line. But these are the 2 or 3 things that I need to do every single day. And unless I've done them, I can't do the other stuff. Now, I get that right most of the time these days, but there's still days where I just, you get bogged down with admin and all sorts of processes and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But acta non verba. So remember, there's a book called Acta non verba that was written by Eric Krier, and I was really like that when I didn't meet him in person, but when I first experienced Eric on stage, was still when Marnus Broodryk did his SME Africa stuff. And one of the things that he was talking about was this thing about acta non verba. That's why I got the book. And it is really about, there's this one thing that he talks about, which is the principle of accretion. I hope I'm remembering that correctly now. But it's basically like, your 1% or that atomic habits kind of thing, where he's talking about that habits are like a snowball. It's like if you form good habits, you sort of build one habit on top of the other. But what he's spoken about is that when you do the right things, it is like a snowball. It starts off small, and if it starts rolling down a hill and it bumps into a rock or it bumps into a tree very early on, then no more snowball. But if that thing goes for long enough and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it picks up snow, one by one, it becomes unstoppable. And it will take everything out in its path. And that's the thing, right? So when we keep doing the right actions, without having a detailed plan, go back, like these things are all connected, but you take the first step, the second step, the third step, the fourth step. And as I said, every step thereafter will reveal itself. Then, just because you take the right action, it does make sure that we get the results and things that we want. So those are the 5 lessons I wanted to share with you this morning. I hope you really found value in that, and that there's really value there for you. If you've got any lessons, please share them in the chat or in the comments below if you're watching the recording. What have been your biggest lesson over your career and your life? Something that you live by and something that you tell your kids about and that you tell other people about. It would be really, really cool to hear that. Thank you very much for sticking with me, and I hope that you found value on this morning. Alrighty, so my guest next week is James Core. Now, James is a big, passionate sort of person, resource, and an advocate for everything crypto. And so I thought the other day we did a poll on the WhatsApp group to say, look, would you be interested in learning more about crypto from an educational point of view? And everybody was yes. I think there was one person who said no. So we're open to learn on this place. Anyway, so next week we've got James going to be talking everything about crypto. So looking forward to that conversation with him. And on that note, I want to wish you a fantastic weekend. There's no giveaway today, by the way, if you didn't realize. I don't have anything to give away, but we'll make a plan for that in the near future again. But anyway, so have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe, be blessed and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. Thank you very much. I love you. Bye-bye.